Hey everybody, Hans Hobson with Tennessee State Soccer Association. Hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about tryouts, specifically the upcoming tryouts for the new seasonal year. So when we're looking at the new seasonal year, that is the 26-27 seasonal tryouts. I want to go over some dates for you to be aware of because that's really important this time of year. The first date that a player may try out for under 12 or younger, and we'll talk about how those players are classified here in a little bit, but under 12 or younger is May 11th, 2026. That's the first date that any club can hold a tryout for under 12 or younger. After that, May 26th is the next date that you need to be aware of. This is the first date that a player may try out for U13 or older. Again, that date is May 26th. An important date to note prior to that is May 25th, that's Memorial Day. Last year we made a decision to not allow tryouts between clubs where players are coming from another club on Memorial Day. However, on Memorial Day, if a club decided that they wanted to hold a tryout inter-club, so players that are currently registered at Club A have the ability to take the players at Club A and hold an inter-club tryout. They may not have tryouts for players outside of their club. That would be a violation, right? And then the last and most important date there after that is June 15th. June 15th is a TSSA binding date for member clubs. Now, this time of year, most parents are like, hey Hans, can you actually give that window of tryouts a little bit longer for us? The problem that we run into is this. Our member clubs, remember Tennessee State Soccer is a 501c3 member club organization, and the clubs that are a member of ours are coming to us and saying, hey, we've got to order uniforms, we've got to book fields, we've got to create teams. And if we allow that window to be open much longer, windows start to close. Uniform orders typically have to be done right there in that second week window of June. So when we say that commitment date is June 15th, we really need to abide by that because that is helping our member clubs. So from May 11th to June 15th, that's almost a month for our 12 and under. It's a little bit less time for our older kids, but we are giving them that window. Please note too, these dates that I mentioned, May 11th, May 26th, both of those tryout dates, that's the first date that anybody can hold tryouts. They can try all summer. There's nothing prohibiting a club from stretching that tryout process 2, 3, even 4 weeks if they desire to do so. Then, following up that June 15th deadline, if you as a parent decide that you do not want to be at that club, you did a tryout May 11th, on May 13th, you committed to that club and you're locked and loaded. You signed your player commitment saying, I'm committed to this club. You paid your uniform fee, and that uniform fee may be also your player commitment fee. It may be $500. That financial agreement is not with us. That's between you and your club. So between the player and the parent and the club, that financial agreement locks you into that club. We look at our policy and say, we're willing to let you go try out for another club if you come to us in the club and notify us prior to player commitment day, which again is June 15th, and you say, I no longer want or desire to be with this club. We will let you out of that commitment. You can go try with another club. What we have no responsibility or jurisdiction over is that financial commitment. So please be aware, whatever you sign with that club is likely locking and loading you into that agreement. Some clubs are generous enough to say, hey, look, we're going to let you out. You still have to pay that uniform fee, but not all clubs are like that. Some clubs have been burned because they may only have enough to form a team, and all it takes is 1 or 2 players to slide away. In those contracts that they have with the fields, contracts that they have with the coaches, all that falls to the wayside, and financially for these clubs, it may bite them in the butt. So those are the dates that you need to be aware of. It should also be noted that any member club that does not honor these dates and will not be able to participate with Tennessee State Soccer or their sanctioned events, okay? So please note, we have had clubs that have made the decision that they do not desire to be with Tennessee State Soccer anymore. That's fine. They can go register with another group. Perfectly fine. But also note that if anybody does not abide by the policy that we have right here, they don't get to be a member of Tennessee State Soccer. So want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. The second thing that we want to talk about is this switch. We are currently in birth year. Oops, let me grab my glasses. We're currently in a birth year membership right now, and we're going to a seasonal year. And so a lot of people think that that is strictly on school year. It takes birth year and season and the school year into account, and we call that seasonal year. And so with the seasonal year, it's basically going from August 1 to July 31. People are like, hey, look, my kid is a day away. We can allow players to play up. Understand that. So if you want to stay with your team and your club is allowing you to play up, they may make concessions for that, and that's perfectly fine. But understand, if you are one of the younger ones there and you're playing up, that could be 18 months older that you're playing with. May make sense for some of you, may not. I think you just wanted to make sure that you're talking with your club about that. Is that something, one, that they're allowing you to do? Number two, physically, is your player able to handle the physical demands of playing up in an age group that may be a year and a half older than them? And then finally, the thing that may be even more important to parents that they don't think about is socially. Socially, I'm going to be playing with some players that maybe are older. This may not be a big deal when we're thinking about a high school player, someone that is a 9th grader playing up with a 10th grader or 11th grader. That's something that maybe they're already exposed to in high school. But we're talking about a younger player playing up with a teenage player, and they're not exposed to some of those things. They're hanging out, they're around the language and things like that. That may be something that you as a parent want to take into account. All we're saying is pause, talk with your club. Playing up, no big deal. Playing down in the competitive world, that's not something that we can do. That's not something, there's a hard, firm line. August 1st is that line, and so we have to abide by that. So just want to make sure that you're aware of that. We also understand that some schools may not start on August 1st. It is not a hard, firm August 1st. Some schools may start August 15th. But USYS, US Club, AYSO coming together to say we're going with the seasonal year and we have to have a date. That date was August 1st. That calendar ends on July 31st. We can't meet what all schools do. We meet the majority. And so a majority of the schools are looking at August 1st, and kids held back. Question comes up a lot. What about my kid? They were held back. Again, birth year and school year both taken into account. So I have a child that was held back a year. They're taking both of those things into account. He will be a 9th grader next year. He's playing with other 10th graders because technically when he was born means he's playing with 10th graders. So just be aware of that. We've also heard why seasonal year. It aligns with school better. It reduces the relative age effect. I can go on and on about this, but you can look that up and spend more time on that. It improves participation and retention. Back when we were doing school year, everything had players playing with the same age group, playing with the kids in the same grade, moms and dads taking kids to school. You've got ride share and things like that. So that makes it a lot easier. And then consistency across U.S. sports. All the other U.S. sports do this. Also, when you compare this to other countries, you look at some of the top countries in the world, and I have a list of them right here. England, right? We think of England and how they do things. They do it exactly like a school year. The ODP and other programs like MLS, the top academies and stuff like that, they're going to stay birth year, right? So the elite players, as they get carved out and they move on to other programs, ODP, MLS, those top programs are going to stay. Academies, by the way, when I say MLS, those top programs are going to stay birth year. So what does this mean for you? For families and players will register based on school year age group. Some teams may look slightly different in the short term, but players remain the same with peers more often. What does it look like for clubs and leagues? Well, greater flexibility in roster formation for these clubs and leagues, easier onboarding for new players that are new to the game, and then long-term stability in the age groups. No players being forced out. No one's being forced out. Again, you're not going to be able to play down. You can play up. You want to make sure that you're talking to your club. And then finally here, I'm looking at the birth chart. I'll give you an example of how this is affecting. So currently I have 2 of my older boys that play. My oldest son is a U16 right now. His birth year is 2009. He's in November of 2009, and he's currently a U16. Next year, he will be categorized. If I look on here and I go 2009, and then I follow over from November, he's going to be a U17. So if I'm looking at that August, September, October, November, he's in the first 4 months of that birth, that seasonal year, if you will. So he'll be one of the older ones. He's also going to be in there with 2010s from January to July. Right? So he'll be one of the older ones. He will actually be a junior next year. So he'll be a junior mixed in with sophomores. Okay? So he's going from U16 to U17. Let me take my younger son. My younger son is at April 2011. So he's currently this year classified as a U15 in birth year. But if I go in here and I go April and I go across to 2011, he's going to be a U16, right? He's going to be a U16. So with him being a U16, he goes from 15 to 16. My son, actually, I think my older son, I said 2009, he's classified as a U17 this year. He basically repeats that year next year, right? So he might be a U17 this year. He's going to repeat that. I said he was a U16, but he's a U17 this year. So 2009 this year, he's a U17. Next year, if I look at 2009 November, he's again a U17. My son, that is a 2011, right? April, he's actually going to be in there. He'll be the younger end of that. So he'll be a 10th grader with some that might be in 11th grade. So hopefully that makes sense. We also have an age chart. So if you go to tnsoccer.org and you look underneath, I believe it's under membership services and under forms, there is an actual age calculator in there. You punch in their birth date and that information will show up. So check that out on our website. Ty will help me out. She's going to put this in here, so you'll have that. So if I'm wrong, it'll be there, but that information will be there. That's pretty much it for Tryouts. Thank you for listening today. We really appreciate it.